I'm going to speak about the 7 types of rest that humans tend to need, but we only really think about one, and that's physical rest. We just think, okay, I'll get a good night's sleep, and that should be it. But I actually want to speak about 6 others, which, to be honest, maybe this is a bit hyperbolic, but might change your life. That's what I'm going for. So the first type of rest I want to speak about is physical rest. And this is what we tend to think we need every single day. And we do, right? Sleep is the best thing that we can do. Sleep is the most anabolic thing that we can do for the body, which restores us as best as possible. And there's many types of rest, of course, outside of sleep. You can have active rest, passive rest, where you're doing activities which are maybe doing nothing, like having a nap, sleeping, watching TV, sitting down, enjoying a tea with a friend, things which you aren't really expending too much energy. And then you have active rest, which is maybe things like walking, gardening, getting out in nature, doing things outside of your usual daily activities. So there's many types of rest, but we do need physical rest. We need it at least once a week where you're kind of just letting the body repair and regenerate. So have a think right now and ask yourself, when did you last have and tap into that physical rest? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you resting well at least once a week? Are you actively resting and passively resting? So it's a good question to ask. If it's a no, how can you tap back into some more physical rest this week? So that could be one possibility. Maybe you're neglecting that. The other one, well, I say the other one of the other ones is, I probably don't need a whiteboard to be honest, but I want you to take a screenshot at the end so you have this. As memory. The other one is mental rest. So mental rest is letting your mind not always be on. You know, the mind is arguably the most, what is the mind? What am I saying? The mind is one of the most, if not the biggest consumers of energy that we tend to do every day, because life is stressful. People will come at you, there'll be work stress, there'll be external stresses that are always on at us. We are constantly stimulated in this world, and there's a lot of anxieties and worries and fear, especially this day and age, 2024, current day. There's a lot of stresses in the world, and we rarely detach from the stresses because life tends to be 24/7, constantly on. Hustle, 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 go, go, go. So when does the mind rest? It's rare it does. And it's one of the rests that we tend to think sleeping will take care of or physical rest will take care of. But we actually need to tap back into specific mental activity and specific mental practices to help our mind just... And you may be thinking, I never do any sort of mindfulness or meditation or breathing or any of that. I think it's wishy-washy. I don't do it. But I'm going to ask you, if there's anyone to trust, please trust me when I say this. Mindfulness, meditation, tapping into mental health practices is so beneficial for you because there's a chance for your mind, what I call take a little holiday from life. Detach from everything and just bring it back to your mind, strengthening the networks in your mind, allowing your mind to breathe, allowing your mind to take a holiday. So I ask you, when did you last take a mental rest? When did you last sit still, focus on your breathing? When did you last put on a guided meditation? When did you last do some CBT style techniques? CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy, where you're using specific mental cognitive tools and exercises to strengthen your mind and create a sheet of armor from life. When did you last do some specific breathing where you're doing slow controlled breaths or even just focusing on belly breathing, diaphragmatic breathing? And you may be thinking, I don't do it. So I'm going to ask you, if you could do a little bit this week, it might be the rest that you need. It might just be the thing that allows you to start feeling like yourself again. And if, like I said, if you're going to trust anyone, Please trust me when I say that meditation, mindfulness, mental health exercises, we need, especially in this day and age. And that will allow your mind to mentally rest. Okay, brilliant. I hope I'm making sense so far. This is where it gets interesting, because this is where we, maybe not knowingly, does that make sense? We may not know we need these types of rest, these ones about to come. The next one is sensory rest. Now, if you think of, once again, this day and age, 2024, there's so much stimulation, there's so much outside stimulation which our minds hundreds of years ago were never exposed to, or that it just wasn't in our environment. And now it's constant. Electromagnetic stress from laptops and screens. If you're living in a city, and even anywhere these days really, you're bombarded with cars, people, street lights, sirens. There's constant triggers, there's constant stimulation from the sensory world. I remember when I was in London, and I'm from a little old Cornwall, which is by the coast. It's chilled, it's quiet. Then I went to London, and my brain just couldn't get used to the stimulation. There's sirens all the time. I worked in a health club, and I was working there most of the day, but you'd always hear sirens. And when I got back in the evening, you know, I'm getting on a tube. The tube is loud. I don't know if you've ever been on it. There's so many people. You get off the tube, there's sirens, there's so much. And I actually couldn't chat to my housemates. I just couldn't do it because it was too much for my mind. I had to go straight into a cold shower to just chill me out. And we need a rest from it. We need a rest from that, because our brains, really, we're not hardwired to extract and be involved in that environment where there's constant sensory stress. So, like I said before, how can you take a holiday from the stimulation from the world? Can you put your phone away a bit earlier this evening? Can you put your work away a little bit earlier? If you can't put your work away, can you buy little blue light blocker glasses? Can you, on the weekends, find some time where you're connecting to nature and getting out from stimulation and constant noise? If you're always around people, can you spend at least 30 minutes a day, or 20 minutes, or even 10 minutes where it's just a bit of silence? Just enough for you to get some sensory rest. Because like I said, your mind needs it. We need that rest. We need that rest from the world. So again, ask yourself, when was the last time you took a break from all that stimulation? Okay, next one. We are coming sort of to the end. We are on 4. Emotional rest. Emotional rest is an interesting one, because it's not necessarily you taking a break from your emotions. It's actually kind of thinking the other way. It's, when did you last express yourself healthily? When did you last express what's going on in the inside? And this may sound a bit weird, but how I describe this with clients was, or is, I always say was, because I was doing a lot of one-to-one. Now it's digital. So when I was with a lot of ones, and still, I speak about our emotions in this way. And like I said, it might sound a bit odd, but hopefully you can see where I'm coming from. So when you're born, are you born with separate pieces or separate entities? You know, are you born with just a physical body, and then your mind is born, and then your emotions are born, and then your nervous system is born? No, we're born as one. We're born as a baby. And as we grow, as we expand, that doesn't change. So my point is, everything in the body is linked. Everything works together. It's one. It's one body, one mind. And within that body is our emotions and our nervous system. And if it's a part of who you are. It's people, especially men, struggle speaking and struggle letting people know, or letting someone close to them, what's happening. What's your emotions doing? What do you feel? What's your nervous system? And I'm not saying you need to express to the world how you're doing. You know, this can be a very private thing. But don't see your emotions as separate to who you are. It's very much in you. And we need to express how you're doing. And you do that in, obviously, there's many ways. There's private ways. You can go to therapy with your husband, your wife, friends, family, someone close to you, someone you feel safe with. You can healthily express emotions through exercise. For me, it's getting into the surf. And when I'm surfing, I feel like I'm, creating art and I'm expressing myself in that way. That sounds a bit deep, but that's where my mind goes. So how do you express yourself? How do you let what's happening on the inside externalize? What is in should come out. Our emotions, if you bottle them up, they don't die. They just get buried. And that's when you can feel very, tired and very suppressed and oppressed. So it's good to express yourself and let out what is on the inside, because you get that sense of relief. You get that sense of reduction of pressure. And it's just, like I said, it's who you are, it's in you. So let it fly, as they say. So that's emotional rest. Again, ask yourself, when did you let out what's going on in the inside? Just chat to someone close. Chat to someone you feel safe with. Promise you'll feel better. Okay. I have actually forgotten what the other three are. That's good, isn't it? Okay. Social rest. Sorry, I thought this was going to be a quick video, but it isn't. Social rest. Okay, so obviously we need socializing. We are social creatures. Our social health, or our health, depends on socializing. If we zoom back hundreds of years when we were relying on each other in the wild to survive, to cook dinner, to connect with. So we need some level of social health. So social rest can go both ways. Do you need to socialize a little bit more? Yes, I do. And how can you do that? How can you connect with someone you love? How can you speak to your friends more? How can you just connect to that social part of your well-being? Because we need it. We're hardwired for it. But there comes a point where it can actually go too much. You can actually tip it over the edge, where you're doing too much socializing. You're going out too much. You're partying. You are agreeing to say yes to everything. You are seeing so many different people in the week due to work and due to personal things. So ask yourself, which side of the, I'm going to make a phrase up here, which side of the boat are you on? Don't know what that means, but I think you can grasp that. Are you on the side where you need to tap into some socializing, like me, or are you on the side of you need to actually just take a break, and tap back into you, tap back into some solitude, tap back into some anonymity, is that right? And just take a breath, not see someone for a while. And it could be a day, it could be a couple of days, but have a think. Do you need, and what do you need in terms of social rest this week? All right. I'm missing two. Creative rest, of course. So this, interestingly, is what I needed over the last week. I went up to North Carolina and went up to the mountains. And before, I was noticing the week before, I was struggling to make sentences. I was struggling to think of good content. I was actually really struggling in my brain to come up with creativity. And now I feel good. I feel like I can come up with an idea like that. And it just proved to me, you needed creative rest. And again, this can go both ways. I really think the brain is hardwired to be creative. And that could be anything, in your work, in your sport, in your hobbies. So again, ask yourself, are you creating? Are you being creative and expressing creativity at the minute in your life? Because it could be a missing link. Or do you need to take a break from creating? Do you need to take a break from your project, from work, from helping people, from always being on and always having to use that side of the brain where you're creating, your output is there, too much output? Take a step back, connect with nature, go for longer walks, do things which are more fun than output orientated. Or do you need to create more and tap into that creative side of you? So creative rest, again, what side of the boat do you sit on? Which one do you need this week? Cool. And then the last one is spiritual rest. So spirituality, you know, there's many things that you can think about spirituality. A lot of people think it's a bit woo-woo, but oh my word, I can't even say the word. Spirituality is that which can't be seen or can't be quantified or can't be measured, in my view. You can't really measure consciousness. Someone's going to come at me, actually you can. Maybe you can. You can't really measure prayer. You can't really measure meditation to a degree. You can't really measure tapping into spiritual practices, if that makes sense. So it's that which can't be seen and measured. So spirituality could mean many things for someone, but it's a side of you which actually detaches from the world and helps you see the bigger picture, and whatever your belief is, you know, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever you find peace in, whatever you find joy in, and it could be nothing. Okay, then tap into that nothingness, if you will. So my point is here, everyone will perceive spirituality different, but it's a good chance to tap into spiritual practices like meditation, like prayer, getting under a tree in nature, speaking to people who, you know, maybe think this way, because it allows you to detach from life and see things differently, see the world differently, and actually allows you to take a breath and think, the world is so much bigger than me. And if you think of the speck and how tiny we are in the world, Earth, in the grand scheme of the cosmos and the Earth and the solar system, we are literally a tiny dot. And we get fixated on stresses and problems and little things that don't matter in life. But when you tap into some spiritual practices, meditation, prayer, etc., you get away from that a little bit, and it helps you see the bigger picture and helps you rest from life, and it helps you just come away with a, let's say, newfound perspective. So however you deem spirituality, it's a good time, not a good time, it's a good thing to tap into to give your mind a rest from the world. And this is where I think intuition and, you know, your subconscious kicks in, because it's not conscious, it's not hustling and grinding, it's actually taking a step away and just kind of being human. And spiritual practices really give you that space to get a new perspective on the world, if that makes sense. And they're the rest. They are the rests. So it's crazy, isn't it, to think that, okay, well, I don't do any of them apart from physical. This may be the reason you're tired all the time, and this may be the reason where, you know, why you're drained and you're just feeling a bit burnt out. So ask yourself, which one do you need? What do you need? How long do you need it for? It could be just tapping into this for a week and you feel tip-top again. So take a screenshot of that. I don't know if you want me in it. There we go, got a picture. Take that away, and I really think that will help. It really helps me when I'm drained and I can't figure out why. I think, oh, okay, because I haven't done that sort of rest. And it just helps me move forward. And I think it's going to help you too. So thanks for your time. Hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.